Hey, Mia, great to see you.
Hey, what's going on, Yako?
Thank God.
Hello.
Hey, Kyrie.
And her for shooting in Patterson. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gilma Avalos. And police
Hi, Mia. How are you?
She was not the intended target. News 4's got yesterday. There has
They
been
put it on
witness
mute.
on
Hi,
Hey,
Hi, Bella.
how's it going?
Good, thanks.
Hello.
hello. Let's give it another 2 minutes so people will all right, Mia's establishment here.
Oh, yes, Bella is here and Katie is here from KBOs.
Wait, I thought they're both representing.
Yes, Katie is the applicant and Bella is the representative.
Great, let me just see if we have any, let's give it another minute.
Yeah.
The Yankee is gonna join.
education with that other team. The victim was
All right, so let me, as we wait, before we get, first of all, thank you. I see we have the Vice Chair Rashida with us, and we also have Committee Member Kyrie. Thank you both for taking your time to come tonight. I'll give a quick update on two things that happened since our last meeting. You recall, I spoke a few months ago about doing an environmental strategy surrounding the dangers of alcohol and an awareness campaign. I was able, through my organization, to secure some funding for that. I'm gonna look to work with the community board and local elected on both creating awareness and trying to perfect the law when it comes to the training establishments, people in establishments that serve alcohol. I met with the Children's Aid Society. Let's give you the exact name over here. I believe that's what it's called. I met with Ronnie Katz, and we're having a meeting next week with a number of Children's Aid New York City. We're having a number of meetings with different coalitions in the district to see if we could come up with some sort of strategy that everybody agrees on. We all agree that this alcoholism is very dangerous, and the law as is not being is not always listened to, and there needs greater awareness for the dangers of alcohol. But the process of perfecting that law and how to go about it's unclear. So we're trying to bring in some people that worked on the original law to hear how they did it and what the process is. That's the first step. The funding I have to spend by I think it's a March 23, and it's allocated for advertising. They were very specific when they gave this funding. It's through OASIS, and I hope to, if we could come up with a strategy, I hope to use it on marketing. Regarding 510 Flatbush Avenue, I went there yesterday with the district manager. And we saw about the establishment put in about $50,000 worth of improvements to the sound. The district manager had questioned the establishment on the process and, you know, how they did it and what they hope still to do. And it seems that the neighbors, the tenants and the establishment are working on improving relations, and there's friendly communication, and there's sort of even a friendship developing there, which is very good to see. And they demonstrated to us how the sound is controlled by a program that whoever rents the establishment for the evening cannot put the sound higher than a certain, you know, level. And in addition, they had a sound engineer that, you know, that explained sort of the process. And at the general board meeting, I guess the district manager will talk about what he saw there and give some context, and the committee, the board could decide how they want to vote on this. We have here now a establishment here that is asking for a new, does anybody want to comment or ask any questions before I see?
No comments for me.
All right, thank you. We have an establishment here. If you could please tell us about your establishment and what you hope to, what you're asking the committee.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Bella with Halpron and Levy. I'm here representing Katie with KDOs. So KDOs Inc. is at 452 East New York Ave, Brooklyn, New York. This is going to be a full OP liquor application, and she'll also be applying for a temporary permit as well. KDOs is a well-established restaurant already in the community. She's been open and operating since 2014. They've closed recently for renovations and are looking to start back up again, but this time with a liquor license. Katie's here with me. I want to turn it over to her to let her talk a little bit about herself and the project, and then I can jump in if you have any more questions.
Thank you, Bella. Sure. So my name is Katie, Kiana Machette O's, but everyone calls me Katie. That's my pet name. Like Bella said, I own and operated KDO's Soul Food Restaurant since 2014. Just recently, we applied with the SLA to get our license. We didn't have it before, but you know, since the pandemic and different things being rough on businesses, that is a way that I figured can help also, you know, generate income and also keep KDO's afloat. I thank you for having us, first and foremost. Is there any questions that anyone have for me? I don't want to just keep rattling on and on and on. So I'm new to this procedure, so maybe you want to ask me questions, feel free, and then I can freely answer them.
I see Rashida is going to ask you some questions. She's a longtime board member and committee member and vice chair.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
Couple of questions. So the establishment right now is a restaurant, and you said you're expanding. So I believe was it before a takeout restaurant or was it a sit-down restaurant?
It was takeout and sit down, but we had less than 19 seats.
Okay,
So it was takeout and sit down. You look familiar. I'm not sure. Have you been there before? The picture looks a little
I
familiar.
have.
Okay. Okay.
So are you guys gonna be doing mainly sit-down, or how are you with the, I guess since you're gonna have requesting a full liquor license?
Well, we're gonna do both. We're gonna have a stand-up bar, and we're also gonna have seating. We also got approved for outside dining and also roadway seating as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tessa, also thank you for joining us.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, young lady.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
I think
Great. So
Kyrie has his hand up.
who?
Kyrie Aline, yes.
Oh, Carrie, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't see.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm actually so happy to be here on the board serving as a member at this very moment. I love KDOs. And Katie, how are you? I haven't seen you in so long.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to see all
Yes,
my old customers. I'm excited to get back in the store and serve you guys.
yes, I'm very excited for you. Your food is terrific.
Thank you. Thank
Your
you.
banana pudding was terrific. Peach cobbler was terrific. Everything.
You're making me blush. Stop.
Yes, I remember you, especially because I think it was in 2016 when you first were opening up. I had an event with a couple of my fraternity and college friends from Howard University and everyone. We really enjoyed the food and they raved about it. So I love your establishment. I think you've always conducted yourself as an upstanding citizen for Brooklyn. And
Thank you.
I want to say I endorse it too. Okay. Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
Karen raising her hand?
Yeah. Now see Mia smiling as if
I'm
she
sorry,
can't
that's
wait.
an error.
There's no such thing. Everything is by divine providence. I want to recognize Karen Chambers from the Brooklyn DA's office, who was a regular at community board meetings pre-COVID. And I hope we always stay online, even though I want to see you again. I love this online process. Let me just ask you, so has there been any incidents at your establishment or need for police or FDNY since you opened up?
No, never. This is it's like a family establishment. I'm well known in the community. No, I feel comfortable in the community. I feel safe. I do have a good relationship with the 71st precinct. But other than that, as customers and things like that, but there's never been a need to have any type of police or fire department personnel come to the restaurant.
Really, thank you. I see Tessa wants to say something or wants to ask.
Yes, good evening, young lady. Forgive me for joining a little late. Please tell me, I'm coming on board a little late. Where's your establishment located? Because now I'm jealous that everybody's been there and knows about it except me.
It's located at 452 East New York Avenue at the corner of New York Avenue. And do not be jealous. We'll be open back soon and you will get to taste some of our good food.
So you were closed due to the pandemic or
Yes, so
some other reason?
Yeah, so we closed December 2020 due to the pandemic, and also too, we just had to do like some light renovations in the space. I was there for about 7 years. So we needed to do like maybe a little facelift to the location. So that's what we did. And we closed December 2020. So we plan on opening back up summer 2022.
Okay, so you're coming before us for a renewed liquor license because you had one before, or a new liquor license because you didn't have one before?
A new one. This is my first time having one.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Kyrie got to eat all that good food, but he couldn't get his sip on.
No, you couldn't get a sip on. So we have to do both. It's so funny you said that. A lot of my customers, they come to the restaurant, they go, when are you going to get beer and wine or something? Because we have to eat here, then we have to head to Flatbush for drinks. Or we go to Flatbush for drinks first and then eat here. They've been asking me for years to kind of have like a one-stop, shop. And I said, okay, you know what? Okay, let's do it. So.
Yeah, so tell me again, though, I don't know that East New York Avenue and New York Avenue intersect. So I'm struggling with that. I know
there's a
East New York.
library. Do you know the library?
Ms. Hackett Vieira is right where East New York turns into Lincoln Road.
Right.
Oh,
Once you cross the intersection, it becomes Lincoln Road.
Yes.
Oh, there. Okay, because
Yes.
I'm like East New York Avenue, New York Avenue. I know New York Avenue. Where are you in proximity to Keg Lounge or where
Right
Keg
across.
Lounge?
That's my neighbor. Christine's my neighbor. Right across.
Oh, you're across from Keg Lounge. Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
now I'm visualizing. Okay, all right. So okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say we do have quorum here tonight. We have, I see Mr. Pearson is here. Thank you so much for coming. I know we had a very busy night and you managed to make it here anyway. Rashida, myself, and Tessa and Kyrie's a committee member as well. So can I ask somebody to make a motion, either to support this application or, I know we're gonna say, I mean, we love the fact that you're
I would
still
like-
here in the neighborhood. And
Thank you
despite
so much,
everything, you're not
Abba.
going, we love that you love our community, you believe in our community,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it,
Thank you.
and we want you to be successful.
Thank you. I grew up in the neighborhood. I grew up in Crown Heights. I also went to 61.
Where'd you grow up? What block?
I grew up on Park Place between Brooklyn and Kingston, across from the Brooklyn Children's Museum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's where I was born and raised. My grandparents were there first in like 1930 something, and we still have
Wow.
a family apartment is still there, 1030 Park Place.
So you're really from like, you're probably from the oldest families in Crown Heights.
Yes, I am.
And you went to 61. I went to 61 too.
Really?
I'm
Yes.
61.
Really? Okay, I went to I don't mind. I'm 42. So what year was that? I went for 1 year. I went for
Okay.
8th grade.
Okay.
I was there when Mr. Clark was there, the dean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Clark. I
Okay.
remember him.
What
Yes.
about Joan Casey? We have to shout out Joan Casey. Mrs. Casey,
Okay.
Mother Casey.
I don't remember them. What about Mr. and Mrs. DeLuca? They were husband and
I
wife.
remember Mr. DeLuca. He ran the
He was-
newspaper. I was on the newspaper with him.
Really? Wow.
Yes, I was one of the students that ran the newspaper with him.
Wow. And last one, Mr. Brown, the
Of
type.
course, Mr. Brown with the typewriter. Yes.
That's when he used to hit us with the stick. You know,
Yes.
but not in a bad way. It's like when
That's
you,
how I remember how to typewrite. Mr.
yes,
Brown.
when you hit the wrong keys, he would hit you with the
Yes.
stick.
Yes.
I don't want to lose Mr. Pearson, so let's vote.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, great. It's
Oh.
great memories. It's beautiful to see, like I said, that your business is, that you're staying here, that you've been here, and that you're continuing to invest in the community.
And I hire within the community too.
That's great. I saw in the apple. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, can we have a motion? Tessa, or I'm sorry, Kyrie made a motion.
Yeah, I want this.
No, let the foodies and the 161ers take this.
MS 61. I want a motion to say yes.
Okay, I can make the motion.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carrie. Carrie made a motion to support this application, and Mr.
I'll
Pearson,
second the motion.
Mr. Pearson seconded the motion. Tessa, how do you vote?
I vote yes, obviously. I know I've got to get there.
I
I'm so
love
jealous
Thank
now.
you,
I can't
Tessa.
wait to get some peach cobbler.
Rashida, how do you vote?
Definitely yes.
I'm 100% yes as well. So Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
You have unanimous support for your motion, and we will vote on it again during the full board meeting, and the board will be in touch with you to let you know the time for that meeting and the Zoom information. But we appreciate you coming, and
For having me.
yes.
Thank you so much.
We're ending now the year almost. We have one. Do we have one more meeting, Mia, this year?
Yeah, June is it. And then we're done for the summer.
June is it. Does anybody have any comments that you want to address before the end of the meeting?
Yes, Rabbi. Is this young lady the only application we had this evening?
The only application, I gave a brief update on 510 Flatbush.
Yes.
That Dante and myself went there yesterday, and they showed us the work they did. They also showed us how the sound system is programmed to stop the sound at a certain level. And they reported of really working on their relationships with the neighbors and trying to communicate. And they said, it's a beautiful story because when we started this process, everybody hated each other. I don't want to say everybody hated each other. There was a lot of anger and frustration, and nobody spoke to each other in the hallways. And he said he's actually becoming friends with some of the people that when they came by, there was a lot of contention and a lot of anger, and they're actually friends and saying hi and good morning and good afternoon. And there's this friendships developing over there. And it's a beautiful story that we were able to play a role in bringing those folks together.
Is he still not ready to come before us or come before?
He's ready to come in front of the full board next month. And Mia, please make sure the tenants know so they have a chance to voice their view on the matter.
Will do.
Right. And could we make sure that this young lady shows up for the board meeting? Because it's always helpful when we say, is someone here from such and such an establishment? It's always much, much better than our endorsement from the Public Safety Committee that, the person who's interested in the license is also at the full board meeting.
Yes, I will be.
You said that there was a young lady that came to all our committee meetings about 510 Flatbush. she spoke about struggling with the disability and having some medical complications and noise being very hard for her and needing to be close to hospital and everything. And when we went yesterday, Andrew told us that I think they spoke for the first time. They had a friendly back and forth since since she's a tenant there. They'd never had a positive from both sides, and they had some kind of friendly. He was very proud. They had some kind of friendly communication.
Rabbi, is that the one that he sort of tentatively offered to move her to another apartment if she wanted to move?
I don't remember. She spoke about she spoke about having a medical issue, and
But didn't he offer to move her if she wanted to move?
Yes.
No,
I
that
think he
was
may have offered
another,
it.
that was the young lady that was immediately above there, wasn't her?
It wasn't the one with disability.
No.
Because I remember he offered to move someone if they wanted to.
Yeah, it was the other young lady that was immediately above that has the sensor in her apartment.
Yes, Rashida, I think you're right. It might have been the one immediately above.
Rashida,
I think-
did you get the original application? I know Mia sent it out.
Yes, I did get an original one.
Is there anything there that you feel is a concern or?
No, I just wanted to review it to see exactly what they had put in their application as far as the restaurant and the hours and everything like that. So, yeah, just wanted to review it.
If you want to stop by the establishment as well, we could, I think, if you want to, I think it's, it's, if you have time, maybe Mia could set that up.
I've stopped by on my own unofficially. I don't like to announce when I stop by, but I've stopped by.
All right.
Yes.
Rabbi, I happen to agree because if both you and Rashida are able to say, well, we've been by there, even if it was set up or unannounced, and we've observed this, that, and the next thing. I think if we want to be, supportive, that can go a long way.
Right. The reason why I told them I'm coming because Dante, we wanted to have the sound engineer there. So we wanted them, they had the guy come specially for us. So I wanted to make sure that I heard from a professional, it has a name that they would tell me this is how it's set up and and sort of vouch for it, as opposed to hearing it just from the owner. Rashida, so you were saying, this next meeting, is there something you want to address before June? Do you feel we should bring to the board or?
No, I think we've addressed this in all of the meetings. I would like to hear what the tenants have said, since you said that there seemed to be no more of an amicable situation going on between now, since now it's been about another month, or I guess we're 2 months since we've had the last meeting. So we'll see how, what we hear from the tenants and go from there.
But I just want to apologize also that I referred to this young lady as the person who has a disability. I don't remember her name, and I would have loved to refer to her by her name. And if it was in it, I hope, it may have been, I don't mean it as disrespect, and I apologize if it all was offensive to anybody.
No, Rabbi, listen, everything everybody says these days is offensive. You might cough and that might offend somebody. So I don't, in the spirit of the general tone and content of our conversation, I don't think anybody on this call expected that you were trying to be offensive or disrespectful.
So there's one more thing. I was invited with Fred and Warren to this meeting by the council member Crystal Hudson there's a organization trying to work with some of the youth in Medgar Evers, not Medgar Evers, I'm sorry, in Ebbets Field. There's a lot of issues now in Ebbets Field with youth, and because of some of the state laws, some of the young kids are involved in gangs and some really good organizations that are trying to create programming with the Armory and trying to have positive alternatives for these kids. And I know that they met with the Armory, and Crystal Hudson's office is on top of it. And I don't remember the organization maybe Fred remembers, but I think it's I let them know that the Public Safety Committee would love to support them any way we can. If there's something we could do, they should let us know, but we're here to support them. And in addition, I was able, on another note, there's an issue with the local parks. All parks in New York City have a permitting process where leagues come, they apply for permits, and they get park time. And what happens is the evening hours between 6 and 8 are when most kids are in the park. Leagues reserve that time. So local kids, both from the African American community, the Caribbean American community, the Jewish community, they go to the park on a 6 o'clock on a, let's say on a Monday night. And the leagues come and say, we can't be here. And some of the leagues are from out of the neighborhood. And some of them maybe from affluent neighborhoods or more, from wealthier neighborhoods. And what happens is, I think, is that kids that have are from less affluent neighborhoods or don't have, a kid who's from a poor community is not going to be in a league, most likely, for the most part. You can't afford it. Leagues cost money. And a lot of the local children and local kids are not in leagues. They don't have time in the park. So I was able to arrange Friday last year and this year, but this year again, Friday, the Parks Department agreed not to give any permits. But I reached out both to Rita Joseph's chief of staff and to Crystal Hudson's office. I thought that maybe city council should make legislation that would force the Parks Department to make a certain percentage of time, community time, where all kids could play, even if they don't belong to leagues. Basically, would restrict the Parks Department from giving all the hours to leagues and forcing them to allow community time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, the issue is there's not enough parks for all the leagues. That's the issue. But I just feel that everybody should have a chance to play in a park, not just people that belong to leagues.
Well, Rabbi, could you shed some light on which parks in CB9 is actually affected?
In CB9, I was dealing with Lefferts Park. There's another name for it. What is it called? It doesn't go by.
We've had a few inquiries. Hamilton Mets on East New York.
Hamilton Mets Park.
By
So Hamilton Mets Park, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock, they don't give out permits during the school year. But from 3 to 6, it's only for schools. From 6 to 8, it's for leagues. So most kids get to the park, 5:30. And a half an hour after in the park, they're thrown off the field by leagues. And some of these leagues, I know a parent called me up and said, this fancy SUV pulls up and a Park Slope League gets out and they come to the field, the soccer field, and it's full of, neighborhood kids. And they respectfully, or not always, but, eventually it becomes not respectfully because they paid for that permit and they reserved that time. They throw the kids off the field. And they have every right to, because they acquired a permit, but it's just not, the kids look at it like, this is our neighborhood, why can't we play in our park? So it almost came to, violence a few times. Thank God there were parents and staff that kept cool. There was also, just on that note, there were some incidents in the park between teenage kids and bothering some youth, and the police department now has a car there every day between the hours of 5 and 8, or a police officer stationed there for the time being.
Rashida, what do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely the community should have a priority. So I think what you're suggesting is, that's definitely, if they can make some type of legislation to make sure that they do not, basically use up all of the time for the leagues, especially if they're not part of the community and they're getting, taking up the access, and that's now having the children or teenagers who need this type of, outlets to, to participate. So I think I agree with the initiative, and, we'll back whatever we need to do as a community board, as a committee.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Rabbi and Rashida, do we have to legislate everything? I mean, do there need to be a law about everything?
Well, we
go ahead.
I'd like to say something.
No, Tessa, you're right. I think that you're probably right, and we could probably work with the Commissioner of Parks in Crown Heights. I just feel this brought to light for me a citywide issue. And if it's happening in Crown Heights, it's probably happening in the Bronx, it's probably happening in Queens, it's probably happening in all neighborhoods. And the fact is, the poorer the neighborhood, the less parks there are. So we could worry about Crown Heights, but why don't we just, if this is an issue facing our community, why don't we bring it to the light and see if we can help everybody?
I actually agree with that point. And I do believe that legislation is necessary for this. Being a youth myself, knowing how being active, and especially in the times that we're facing now, there is no outlet for the youth. This is something that we have to legislate. I'm all for this. And I do believe
Yeah.
it's a bigger issue because my next question becomes, these leagues, I'm sure that they have parks in their own communities as well. So are they now coming to like CB9 for our parks and to use the parks there? And they also have other leagues and teams that are using the parks in their communities. I think that there has to be legislation to stop that.
To stop what? To stop sharing or to stop
To stop-
the Commission of Parks from divvying up the time unfairly? What
Yeah,
what
to stop-
exactly is the issue?
Well, so I think the biggest issue is the fact that this is my community. So if I'm a member of the community of CB9, which I am, and I watched the parks and I played on the parks when they didn't have nice swings, they didn't have nice basketball courts or baseball fields. And after they've been renovated, I should have access to play on them at any moment. So we need to stop not allowing community goers to go at any moment. So I don't even think there should be a time frame that says from 6 to 8, kids can't go play at the park, or from 3 to 6. I don't think that leagues should be able to rent them out, honestly. Or maybe maybe we could do something where you share, if there's some way that we could share time.
Well, that's what I'm suggesting. Instead of legislating, can the Commissioner of Parks work out something where it's a little bit more equitable, and a little bit more sharing? Because we legislate everything, so now we're legislating park time. So is this something that maybe we need to work with the Parks Committee on?
Who is the chair of the Parks Committee, Mia?
Isn't it Nick Almanor? Nicholas Almanor. It used to be Vivian Morgan, but I think it's Nicholas Almanor. But Mia can shed some light on that. She might know.
It's Mr. Almanor. I think Kyrie brought up a very good point. When Hamilton Mets was under renovation for a good few years, where did they play?
Exactly.
What the league?
Hamilton Mets was under renovation for a substantial time. Where did those leagues play then?
Okay,
No, I
so
agree. That
are
is
we
the
talking-
position of all the parents that are calling. My concern is that not every community has a park. In addition, it's New York City parks. It's not like Crown Heights parks. From a legal standpoint, I think it's going to be hard to limit parks based on geographical location of the leagues. But I do agree that there should be some sort of system where if you have a lot of parks or how many leagues from each, I'm not exactly sure what that system should be, but there should be some kind of system and a citywide study on this and on how to resolve this. In addition, I think that legislation is the only way to go because, every community is different and things are constantly changing. And if we don't legislate it, there's no legislation, then there's no way to enforce it. Another point is that what's our community? I mean, it's Crown Heights, our communities. That park is actually in Mealy's district, not in Crystal Hudson's district. Is it go by the congressional district? To go by the city council district? When you start talking location, what becomes like the district of the park? But there's definitely a need for the city to do a study on parks and leagues and how to allocate time. And to me, the easiest way, the simplest solution is to allocate a certain amount of time for community time, whether it's 20%, 50%, 80%, whatever that time is, where nobody could rent it out, leagues can't take it, and kids could go and play there.
Okay, so is it something that we should collaborate with the park, because we're public safety? So is it something that we should collaborate with the Parks Department on it? Do we need to have some dialogue with Nick Almanor?
Listen, we could have dialogue with them, but I'm moving ahead with it regardless with City Council, and I'm happy to include them, but I think we can move ahead. I feel like this is something we could, this is something that council members are interested, they agree. This is something that should be resolved. And if we want to bring it to the full board and bring the Parks Department, I'm happy to do that, but I'm not going to wait.
Do we have Darlene Mealy on board since it's in her?
So Darlene
council
Mealy
district?
now, Darlene Mealy, another thing, if we're doing it as a citywide, citywide,
Initiative.
then it doesn't really make a difference with each park. It's not specific to that park. But
Right.
Darlene Mealy has, I think, like 2 or 3 staff now. And a lot, I think she's still sort of reorganizing the office. But it's very hard to really, that office is not as responsive as other offices at this time.
Okay,
So I used to work with Arna. Arna just left, and I was in touch with her, last year and this year. I looped her in. She is no longer in Darlene Mealy's office. She did give me a contact of somebody there, and if you want, I'll be happy to reach out and bring them up to speed. Then maybe Tessa, maybe you want to loop into the Parks Departments.
yeah, I could, we can get Nick Almanor on board, or if we don't need to go that route, if you feel strongly that, legislation only way, Rashida and Kyrie, appear to agree with you. I don't think we have to legislate everything in life, but I might be different. And so if you're set on going forward, then we could go forward. If we really don't need parks on board, then let's go. If we don't need parks and we don't need, with regard to Hamilton Mets, the particular council member, which is Darlene, if her office isn't set up and ready yet, then we can make it our initiative and move forward.
Yeah, Mia, can you update Parks on this conversation?
Yeah, definitely.
See if-
I'll
I mean,
reach
I
out to
mean,
Mr. Almanor.
Yeah, let's, why don't we update them out of respect? If
I
they wanna be
agree.
If we be part of it, it's a great idea. Thank you, Tess. If they want to be part of it, we'll include them. They could even take a lead if they want to. It's just, I want to get this done. I don't want it to get put on like the environmental protection, like 8 months of conversations in the board, because it's not really a board issue, it's a city issue. So we could go directly to the council, and if, it's.
And that's fine. And some dialogue with Parks Chair Almanor is helpful, because he often calls me about how much more he thinks public safety could be doing, besides reviewing liquor licenses. So
I think is Nick the one that said, Mia, is Nick the one that brought to the executive committee concerns that we never have NYPD at our meetings?
I believe it may have been him. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, it might be, because he talks to me about, how much more he thinks public safety should be doing besides reviewing liquor license.
So we actually had, Tessa, we looked at our minutes. We
Mhm.
had like 80% of our meetings had a police representative or something this year. Some very high number.
That's good. So we can loop him in on this, because I'm sure he's prepared to burn you and Rashida's ear up about how much more he thinks we should be doing in public safety. So let's
I think Tessa,
out
I
of
think
respect, let's let him know.
he's never called me.
Oh,
but if
I know, but he's called me.
So thank you, Tessa, and I think we should loop them in out of respect, and thank you for bringing it up. I'd like to close the meeting. Is there any final comments from anybody or?
Well, I just want to say this. 2 things really moved me again tonight. The fact that we get to also help someone who was from our community, who was born and raised in our community, further grow, to also hire and reach back to lift up our community. So that's one. And secondly, I definitely want to be a part thoroughly, like in terms of whatever work is needed of me, to see that we do have legislation with regarding the park, because it seems I can't even wrap my mind around this, because it's prime time park time. That's
You've
what
seen it, buddy. You've
I'm
probably seen it, right?
yeah. And so I really want to be a part of that too. So
Thank you.
Okay.
So let's set up a meeting. Let's see let me speak to Sam from Rita's office. Maybe we could set up a meeting with some of the board members, some of the community members, and have a conversation.
Yeah, we could start there and bring Nick on board, and whether Parks is, because they might have a different agenda
So do
or
me a
another
favor.
agenda. We can go forward without them, but we should
Tessa, make
let them
sure
know.
before we set up this meeting, speak to Nick, feel him out, see where he stands on this.
Good idea.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you and good night. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Bella.
Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.